Today I can report to the American people that Black Noir has conducted an operation killing the super terrorist known as Naqib. But that doesn't mean sacrifices won't still be made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The Boys is here. Diabolical. This is going to be my Season 2, Episode 1 to 3 video. They dropped the first 3 episodes. I will be doing weekly episode videos for all of them, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. We're doing an Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the episodes on the video. Normally I would do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs, but there's so much stuff happening in these episodes, and it's all 3 episodes in this one video. There should be like top 100 WTF, and it's the Boys series, so it's way crazier than most television shows. Because they dropped the first 3 episodes, just careful for spoilers for episodes 1 to 3. So what I'll do is I'll number these as we go along through the episodes and cover all the Easter eggs. But if you don't follow them on social media, they actually dropped the episodes a day early, Thursday instead of Friday when they were supposed to drop, as part of this big promotional campaign. It was meant to be a joke about Vought taking over the Boys' Twitter account, and the Boys and Butcher leaking the episodes in retaliation a day early. The titles of the episodes are also titles of the comic book chapters, but the actual chapters don't necessarily correspond to the plot of the episodes. But it starts with the CEO of Vought, played by Giancarlo Esposito, who's a much bigger character during Season 2. His name is Stan Edgar. So if Homelander is like the evil Superman of this equation, he would be more like the Lex Luthor. He's negotiating with Jim Beaver from Supernatural, who works for the government, about the terms of putting superheroes in the military, that whole thing they were trying to set up during Season 1, while Black Noir is busy on a hit mission to take out the new foreign villain Homelander helped create, for the very purpose of convincing the government and the military to let superheroes in. All while Sympathy for the Devil by the Stones is playing. I guess that kind of makes Giancarlo Esposito's character the quote-unquote devil of this situation. Even though you could think of Black Noir as a devil of sorts, I know a lot of people are wondering how different or how similar he's going to be to the comic book version of his character. Please don't post spoilers about Black Noir in the comments, because while this hit mission is going on and he takes down this foreign superhero, he soaks a bunch of damage, revealing that he has a whole bunch of powers that you didn't know about. But the Sympathy for the Devil song also applies to him, because this scene where he brings the severed head and this bunny in to freak that little kid out in the next room, that's also a reference to comic book Black Noir being the worst possible person you could imagine. If you think characters on the TV show are bad, Black Noir in the comics is so much worse, so much more WTF. And if you didn't see my video about it, there's a bunch of Supernatural characters and people that worked on the Supernatural TV show that are associated with the Boys TV show now. So I referenced Jim Beaver, who played Bobby on Supernatural. Jensen Ackles is actually going to be playing Soldier Boy, or a version of Soldier Boy, during Season 3. I don't know how many episodes he's going to be in, but I've already done a video about that, so I'll link it at the end of this. But Eric Kripke, who's the showrunner of The Boys, actually used to be the showrunner of Supernatural, so maybe we get Jared Padalecki in a future Season 2 and just complete the circle. One of the big Easter eggs that they have during this conversation, though, when Giancarlo Esposito is talking to Jim Beaver, is he makes a reference to telling the president what to do, the United States president. And that's a big arc in the comic books. Vought's whole mission is that they want more power, but in order to get real power, they have to be able to get superheroes in the government. So superheroes in the military is a big thing right now on the show, but the next big step, as they tease here, is putting superheroes in the White House. And I love the joke about collateral damage. 34% of any city that they go to with superheroes, they'll wind up trashing, so they almost cause as much damage as they prevent. They kind of pay that off by the time we get to episode 3 with Kimiko's brother in Stormfront going after both of them, when she completely trashes an entire building just because she feels like it. But then they transition to the funeral for Translucent, with Homelander giving this really terrible speech, trying to continue to spin this as a big PR move. Everything that Vought does is basically a PR move. Up until this point, pretty much everything that they say, everything that they do is all meant to just continue to feed their big merchandising machine. Sell more merch. You see a couple of jokes about that too. When Huey goes out on the street walking around, you just see merch for the 7 all over the place. And then when they go to the warehouse with all the superhero costumes, it's all Vought merch. They also have wall-to-wall commercials and TV shows all trying to pump up this narrative that they're trying to feed to the public about what Vought wants them to believe. They try to pin everything on Butcher and spin him as this crazy person. They're not wrong about that. Butcher is definitely crazy, as they sort of imply later in the episodes. But you can kind of see that Vought is trying to control everything. We meet up with the Deep, who's still stuck in Ohio, in exile from the Seven, drinking his problems away, getting kicked out of some TGI Fridays-looking bar. His arc is kind of hilarious in a very sad way, like as he slowly spirals out of control into that water park. The funny thing about his arc with the cult, because he totally falls for it, he totally eats up everything that they feed him, is that it's meant to be a parallel for Huey's arc because he's also spiraling out of control. He keeps watching that Billy Joel music video. They actually included it at the beginning of episode 3, I think. For the Deep, it winds up being the cult that he runs to, but like Huey says, when we get to episode 3, he talks about Starlight being his quote-unquote second wind, like the Billy Joel song. They set up the whole Compound V arc, trying to expose Vought. I know a lot of people heard that Compound V and they're wondering if they're going to do that big Huey comic book twist, because he keeps talking about being this normal guy. I'm just a normal guy that nobody thinks is special, but he makes all these pop culture references like I could be the Harry Potter of this group. I don't want to talk too much about that in case it winds up being spoilers later this season. There's a big twist with Huey's character in the comics that you can go read if you want to right now, but they might wind up doing that for his character by the end of this season. The mission that the boys send her on, though, as part of this, to get her former squad mate to turn and help her with the Compound V, is actually right out of the comics, too. She used to be part of a super religious-themed group called the Young Americans. Drummer Boy in the comics is the person she used to go out with. This person is called Gecko, so it's just a minor change from the comics, but I think that was all in service of this big WTF twist, so they could have this scene of him getting paid to let people hack limbs off. He even says he'll let him chop his junk off if he gives him an extra $1,000. I also love this hilarious look on Starlight's face, like, this is gross, but it's not the worst thing she's seen in the last year. They set up the whole cult arc with the Deep's character getting bailed out of jail by Eagle, who's obviously a big parody of Hawkeye in the Avengers. There are a lot of Marvel Avengers Easter eggs throughout the series and during Season 2. The Seven are just a Justice League parody and Homelander's meant to be evil Superman, but there are a lot of other Marvel-based character parodies in the show. But he's part of the Church of the Collective, either willingly or unwillingly. Maybe he's been brainwashed too. It's hard to tell how much he believes what's going on. But they set up the big Fresca running joke, so anytime a cult member walks in and introduces themselves, they keep trying to give you Fresca. So fair warning, if anybody in real life offers you a Fresca, you turn and you run the opposite way. I don't know which writer it was on the show who declared war on Fresca, but it's absolutely hilarious. When they go back to the boys, they make a reference on the TV about Stillwell's baby surviving and being found 17 miles away, so I guess Homelander really did save the baby and just dropped it off while he was taking Butcher to his wife's house. It is so weird and gross watching him drink that tip milk the way he does. He's so obsessed with it. He drinks milk so weird on the show so many different times that you just have to laugh out loud. They have a big joke about Ashley kind of catching him doing it too. I think she definitely saw him drinking that tip milk. They have another big Marvel Easter egg with this Daredevil parody character. Homelander just completely turns on a dime too, just slapping his ears. I love how Anthony Starr is so good at that too. Like, he seems like he's kind of going along with things, congratulating him, giving him the usual spiel he would do in front of cameras, then completely gives her the business about being the one in charge. You're going to inform me on everything that's going on inside corporate, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do. That doesn't really last very long, too. You can see by the end of episode 3, Homelander is just ready to just completely blow apart at the seams because he feels like he's completely lost control of the situation. There's also a lot of references during episode 1 to this Tech Knight movie that's getting ready to come out. He's basically a version of Batman and Iron Man if you're not a big comic book reader. He's a superhero that has a ton of money but no real superpowers other than the technology that he uses to fight crime. He also has a big Batcave, too. We meet more members of the Church of the Collective. As the Deep slowly kind of gets sucked in through all the Fresca, they make him trip balls, and he starts talking to his gills, which are voiced by Patton Oswalt. When they announced that he was going to be a character on the show, I thought that he was actually going to be a real character, but this is way crazier than I ever expected. Then they introduce Stormfront for the first time, played by Aya Cash. Most of you might recognize her from some other TV shows. She does a lot of comedy stuff. She's meant to be a character that's just as bad, if not worse, than Homelander, but in the first 3 episodes, she's a bit of a slow burn, like they're slowly easing you into how crazy she really is until the end of episode 3. The whole thing with her is that she's actually almost as powerful as Homelander, so she's meant to be this check and balance that Oscar puts on the team as a strategic move to sort of neutralize Homelander. But even though Homelander seems like he hates her at the beginning of the season, and for most of the episodes, like at the end of episode 3, it seems like he's getting ready to stare a hole right through her, like he wants to laser the crap out of her. Aya Cash said that she slowly wins him over the course of the season once she reveals what's really going on. And if you've seen the trailer, like the scene of him lasering her chest and her enjoying it, then them getting it on, obviously that was not in the first 3 episodes. So it sounds like they'll have that confrontation pretty soon. But everyone press F in the chat for that deputy director of the CIA from season 1, the one that had been together with Butcher for a while helping him out. They don't fully explain why her head blew up, only that Vought has tabs on pretty much everybody in a position of power, just trying to keep the lid on Compound V. And the reason why she died is because she got too close to the secret, but the secret gets out by episode 3 anyway. Then they have the big standoff with Homelander and the CEO, sort of telling him what the business is and giving us a big history lesson about the company, Vought. They change a couple minor things about the comics, but for the most part, it's a pretty accurate backstory. It all started in World War II Germany, then through Operation Paperclip, the company and then Compound V came to the United States, where they founded Vought American. Butcher comes back finally, Daddy's home, and explains to the rest of the boys that his wife is still alive and what his real plan is. There's going to be a short movie that will cover the events between season 1 and season 2 about what Butcher was up to during that missing period. I think that's going to drop after the finale of season 2 drops. They finally reveal where she is when she drops her son off for piano lessons and then races back, and we find out that Vought's been keeping her in this giant Jurassic Park looking facility with a huge fence around it. And I love that conversation that she has with the doctor about what they're going to do about Homelander now that he knows the secret. I don't think there's anything we can do about it. We're just kind of hoping that he'll get tired and move on. Later, they remind you just how powerful Homelander is when he tells her about that conversation, letting you know that he heard every word, even though he was a couple miles away. Homelander also kind of gets real with his son for a moment too, like he tells him the truth. You know, I kind of lied to you earlier, I didn't really have a mom or a dad, I didn't grow up with that many friends. There are like a couple brief moments during the episodes where you see him with his son actually enjoying himself because he so badly wants a family, but he doesn't know how to do that, he doesn't know how to be human. And Anthony Starr, the actor, actually says that Homelander's real kryptonite, quote unquote, if we're making Superman references, is actually his humanity because he wants to be a father to his son, the father that he never had, but through his actions, he almost winds up burning that bridge because his son's powers finally activate when he threatens Butcher's wife. Get away from us, I hate you, I don't want to be anything like you. That's big because there are only a couple people on the planet that are almost powerful enough to challenge Homelander, and his son would be one of those people. Stormfront is almost as powerful as Homelander, but she's a little bit better at spinning PR, which is why she seems like she's more in control of some of these situations, which also pisses Homelander off even more. They set up the whole arc with Kimiko's brother. He basically got the same Compound V treatments from the same group that Kimiko did, it's just that she was rescued by the boys and he was not, so he's still working for them. They have a series of conversations about what happened to them after they left their village. They basically explain that Homelander destroyed everyone there, so there's no way that they could ever go back, even if they wanted to. But also he feels all this remorse for not being able to protect her because he's supposed to be her brother. He tells that story about how he took the blame for her when she was about to get caught for stealing. They broke his hands, which they pay off at the end of episode 3 when he comes back to rescue her from Stormfront, but she breaks his hands and then kills him. There's this whole Butcher versus Huey thing going on in the first couple of episodes too, where Huey just doesn't want to have anything to do with Butcher, and Butcher basically tells them, if you get in my way, between me and my wife, this plan, I'll kill you, and he is not joking. The show is not subtle about it at all, but they want to parallel Butcher and Homelander. They're both meant to be psychopaths for the most part in their own way. It's just a question of whether or not either will find any kind of redemption. But by the end of episode 3, Starlight's plan to leak the news about Compound V is out. The world knows about it, but Giancarlo Esposito's character winds up pinning the whole thing on Stillwell because she can't say anything about it because she's dead now. He also kind of pins Vogelbaum on it like a small rogue group inside our company. The speech that he gave to Homelander earlier in the season is actually really good. It explains their business really well. We are a pharmaceutical company and our power is really that no one knows the secret of superheroes, that we make them. There are no superheroes that are born naturally. Homelander's son is one of the first big experiments in that. Because he was born naturally, he does have powers. So now they know that it's at least possible for superheroes to be born. One of the funnier things, though, about that Compound V reveal is that some of the members of the Seven only learned about it for the first time from the news. They didn't know that they were created as superheroes. They thought that they'd been born that way. There was the Deep that talked about learning about his powers for the first time when he was a young child, walking through the mall, listening to all the goldfish screaming. Then you see Black Noir crying in the hallway, or at least looks like he's crying underneath his mask. There are a couple really funny Black Noir background scenes too, so he's all over the spectrum. There were a couple other big cameos like PJ Byrne. You probably recognize him from a couple of the TV shows. This is really just the beginning, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that I didn't include in this video just because there's so much that we could talk about from each episode. So my episode 4 video will post next Friday, but if you spotted any big Easter eggs that I didn't include in the video, just write them below in the comments. Like I said, there's a billion things that they reference during these. What I'll do is I'll talk more about some of the new characters when we get to more of the single episode videos like Stormfront. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Stormfront that we could talk about. While you wait for everything, click here for the brand new Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 teaser trailer, and click here for that Boys Jensen Ackles teaser video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.